Welcome to Pilates Teachers Manual, your guide to becoming a great Pilates teacher. I'm Olivia, and I'll be your host. Join the conversation and the Pilates community on Instagram at Pilates Teachers Manual, and visit buymeacoffee.com/Olivia Podcasts to support the show. Today's chapter starts now. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Season 5 of Pilates Teachers Manual. I am so excited you're here. I'm so excited that you're tuning in to this very first episode in Season 5. This is mostly going to be a update episode, aka what was I doing for the past month, mostly teaching, but also some really cool podcast and life stuff that I'll be sharing with you, as well as thanking all of the contributors who have supported my project of upgrading my podcast studio. Hopefully you can hear a little bit of a difference in the audio. I'm fiddling around with some things here. But yeah, Pilates Teachers Manual is officially back for Season 5 of Podcast Adventuring. It's funny, I'm a big fan of Korean pop music, and whenever a group comes back from they were working on an album and then they're releasing the album, they call it a comeback. And when we think of comebacks, I think, at least in the United States, what I think of when I hear a comeback, it's like the Backstreet Boys disbanded and 20 years later, they're doing a comeback, like a reunion kind of thing. But Korean groups do comebacks like every year, sometimes like when they're in the midst of releasing new music, and they do huge comeback stages and all of that. So I want to channel that level of enthusiasm for coming back for even more Pilates teaching goodness. I have been upgrading and updating and getting my sound situation situated in my new place. So I wanted to individually thank all of the people who have contributed to this project on Buy Me a Coffee. Huge thank you to Vanessa and Karen and Julie. Thank you, Danielle and Chelsea and Judy, for all contributing to the project. I've got this really neat little sound isolation shield that I'm still working on finding like the exact right place for it, but I will show you the upgraded studio. And really, it just means so much that you heard that I was working on this and that this project has been impacting you so positively that you wanted to be a bigger part of it. So thank you so much. If you're interested in contributing to this project, not just for upgrading business, but also covering the cost of podcast hosting and, the software I use for the transcripts and for, the videos on YouTube, like all of those little things that I do, if you want to help support that, you can definitely visit my page on buymeacoffee.com/Olivia Podcasts. And you can leave a nice message, which I really love, and you can contribute if that strikes your fancy. I do appreciate all of your support, and it means so much to me, really. Some updates on things that are happening, because things are happening. Like, things keep happening, and they don't stop happening, right? In the United States, things are well on their way to reopening. Still teaching in the studio, which I've been doing, on and off in 2020. And then starting in January, we came back. And now in Chicago, we are... as of recording, we're the first major city to have reopened, in that they took away all the capacity limits. If you're vaccinated, you're allowed to not wear a mask indoors. That's stuff that's happening in the studios, that students have the option of taking their mask off while they're in class, at their station. I know that that's been quite helpful for things like cardio, where it gets a little toasty. I can tell you that I'm still teaching wearing a mask, although I am fully vaccinated. I just feel like I'm interacting with people, and sometimes I'm closer to them. And that's a totally personal comfort level thing. That's what I'm doing at the moment. But, every instructor's different. I get that as well. My parents are coming to visit in Chicago. That's not something I was doing in the past month, but I am really excited to get to show them around the city. I think Chicago's a really great city to show people around in. There's a lot to do and a lot to see, and it's a pretty fun place to hang out. Also coming up next week is Momentum Fest, which I am beyond thrilled about, and even more thrilled because I got an email from Momentum Fest because I had signed up for the virtual, and like, what's the biggest downside to attending a conference? If you haven't attended one, I can share, in my opinion, the worst thing about conferences is that you can't go to all of the workshops at the same time. There's always at least one, if not 2 or 3 or 7 times where you want to be in both of those workshops and you can't. You have to pick one, and such is life. Unless you attend the virtual Momentum Fest adventure, in which case you can attend all of them. Not simultaneously, we haven't gotten that good yet, but I'll be able to catch the replay of some of the presenters that, I wasn't able to attend their class live, but I'm able to still learn from them and check out their workshops. So I am so excited for that. That is next weekend, June 25th through 27th. Oh my gosh, I'm thrilled. Oh, it's going to be such a party. I cannot wait. I've been reading lots of things, reading for Pilates reasons, reading for fun reasons, and that's always a treat. I was like an avid reader in middle school, high school, and college, and I don't know, life happens, and then you start like having a job and you don't catch yourself reading as much, but like e-readers are really a lifesaver, like even on my phone, like not even like a legit Kindle, just an application that opens those EPUB files or MOBI files or whatever they are. And so I've been able to read. I've been working through the books that I shared that I will be talking about a little bit more in depth on the podcast. Maria Earle is hosting a Joy of Movement book club adventure that's just on Zoom. That's, movement people talking about this book, The Joy of Movement. That's happening tomorrow. So if you have read the book and you want to join the discussion, I've linked to that in the show notes. But then I'll also be discussing Body Keeps the Score and My Grandmother's Hands, talking about the way that emotion, experience, trauma lives in the body. And that's something that I've been really interested in. So I'm happy to be able to read a little bit more about it. I've also been part of Maria Earle's Advanced Movers series, which if you haven't heard of or checked out, when Maria was on the podcast last year, was it last year? Earlier this year, at some point when she was on the podcast, she shared that she was just starting her Advanced Mover series, and it's a deep dive into the mat work or the chair or the reformer. And I'm doing the mat work workshop series right now, really layering in the work of Kathy Grant and, her teachings, as well as in a lot of ways expanding beyond what you may have learned about the exercise, what you may have learned about teaching the exercise, and really broadening the conversation and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't work and what connects in your body and what sets off some light bulbs. It's a blast. I'm going to be sharing more about it because I absolutely love it, and I can't recommend just this idea of really cool Pilates people getting together to like learn more about Pilates is freaking amazing. So I'm loving that, and I will share more. The other thing I've been doing is teaching a lot. I'm not sure if you as a teacher have had this experience, but especially given the fact that no one went anywhere in 2020 and probably the first half of 2021, there are a lot of teachers that have a well-deserved vacation planned, and so I've been sticking around in Chicago, and I've just been picking up a bunch of classes, which is great because I love teaching. It is a lot of teaching, so that is that as well. I do feel like teaching in a lot of ways has an ebb and a flow where you'll have, really full classes, and then for like no reason whatsoever, then your classes are less full, or you're able to pick up a ton of shifts, and then you're doing that, and then no one's traveling or nothing's going on. So you're just, teaching your regular schedule. Or your clients are traveling if you're doing privates, or they move away, like they do stuff like that sometimes. And yeah, it's just, there's an ebb and a flow. I'm definitely in a flow right now. So that's party. updates for the podcast, in addition to having this sweet beans sound equipment that's hopefully eating up some of the echo in the room. As I said, I'm working on it. I'll listen to it, see what it sounds like, and adjust from there. There will be a slightly different podcast release schedule for this season and also for season 4 of Pilates Students Manual, which is the sister podcast to this one. I looked at what happened in the last season, which was, I'm definitely going to release both podcasts every week. And that worked well in 2020 when I was teaching like 3 hours a week. It's not working as well when I'm teaching, 30 to 35 hours a week. And then what happened was I threw all of my brain power behind Pilates Teachers Manual, and Pilates Students Manual unfortunately sat on a shelf, sadly. And I was like, I'll just do Students Manual every other week. And then it just wasn't happening. And so I don't want to do that. I do want the work I do to be sustainable and consistent. So I'll be releasing this update episode, and I'll release an update episode over on Students Manual today as well. It'll be very similar to this episode, but you're welcome to go check it out over there. And I will go forward and release one podcast a week, alternating between Teachers Manual and Students Manual. So next week on the 25th of June, I will release a Teachers Manual episode, and then the following Friday, the 2nd of July, I will be releasing a Students Manual episode. I think that's a workload that I can comfortably handle, that I'm still doing one podcast a week. And if you're a teacher and you love this podcast, the Students Manual podcast has a lot to offer as well. You may feel like, I already know this, but it just gives you another way of looking at the exercises. I do a little bit more about exercise breakdowns and a little bit more discussion about Pilates itself versus just, teaching Pilates. It's a neat adventure. I hope you check it out over there as well, or stay with Teachers Manual. You're welcome to do that too. And new episodes will be coming out every other week for this season. And I was going to be like, through the end of this year. I don't know exactly when, but it will keep going I've got about 20 to 30 episodes planned between the two podcasts. So I do think that it can go for a fair bit. Yeah, I'm excited about that. Overall, I think this season is going to be a hoot and a half. I've got great things to discuss that have come up in my own teachings, that people have reached out to me in DMs on Instagram. I've got some amazing interviews with some incredible teachers coming your way as well. This has just been such a fabulous project and just a good time. I really enjoy doing this, and I'm really, really glad that you enjoy listening to it and coming along for the ride. That being said, I do want to hear from you. So if you're going to Momentum Fest, oh my gosh, tell me, let's connect. If you are having some questions about things, whether it's about teaching or Pilates or your studio, reach out, and the very least I can chat with you. At the most, we could talk about it on the podcast. I would absolutely love that. So don't be a stranger. I look forward to hearing from you. Oh, one last thing. If you are a supporter on Buy Me a Coffee, stay tuned for an extra special newsletter that's coming out with an extra special thank you for supporting the podcast upgrades. So stay tuned for that over on Buy Me a Coffee land as well. That's all for now. I'll see you next week with a brand new Pilates Teachers Manual episode. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for listening to this week's chapter of Pilates Teachers Manual, your guide to becoming a great Pilates teacher. Check out the podcast Instagram at Pilates Teachers Manual, and be sure to subscribe wherever you listen. For more Pilates goodness, check out my other podcast, Pilates Students Manual, available everywhere you listen to podcasts. The adventure continues. Until next time.